Hey, Gemini, Medicine here. Thank you so much for stopping by. We are here to see what's going on for you during the Cancer season happening between June 21st to July 23rd. And a lot of focus, a lot of emphasis is going to be right here in in your second house for you. A lot of emphasis is going to be right there on, you know, emotional security and physical security. In your area of physical security, a lot of emphasis is gonna be right there with doing your books, looking at your finances, if you choose to be a charitable time, this is time to be good for charity work. I'm sorry, my words are just like blah, 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 in the moment. That's only because I tend to kind of like, okay, time to work with spirit. So anyway, let's take a step back here for 2 seconds because I made a mistake and I forgot to put down your center card. Your center card happens to be the spirit of initiation, which means that you, my friend, right now are getting ready to be initiated into something, a spiritual initiation. Okay, so not only, spiritual initiations can happen in a lot of ways. They can happen in a lot of ways. They can manifest in a lot of ways too. It might be something that shows up very minuscule and very small for you that doesn't necessarily feel like what you expect it to be. And yet in itself, it will be an initiation that will open the door, your eyes to something completely new and exciting happening out there, just waiting for someone like you to stop by and say, hello, I'm here, I'm born, how are you? And know that this is going on a spiritual level for you, that either you will see it, sense it, feel it within your soul. It can also happen within the physical level, but understand that it is spirit driven overall. However way it manifests, know that it's spirit driven. If it has to do with something, an idea, if it has to do with a thought, whatever it is, it's going to be spirit driven for you. So spirit is initiating you into a new part of something going on in your life. And it may have to do with, for some of you, it may have to do with, what brings you physical security in your world right now. Maybe for some of you, you are being initiated to how difficult things may be in order to really grow a dream into the physical world right now. Because with all this energy, I mean, you've got the sun, you've got Mercury, you've got Venus, you've got Mars, you've also got the North Node happening right there for you in your second house. You've got all of these aspects happening here in your second house. I mean, some of them will begin in other places for you, Gemini. Gemini, like Venus, for example, she'll start there in your first house, and then she'll work her way over down into the second house. So, yes, she'll start in your first house and then work her way down to the second house. But overall, a lot's going on around second house themes for you. So second house themes really involve things like what we talked about, physical security. What brings you a sense of physical security in your life? It also talks about strengthening. It also talks about strengthening practices, bodybuilding, for example, are having a greater understanding as to how to care for something in the physical sense, versus it's one of those, I've always had like a dream, if you will, always had a desire. I've always wanted something. Now it's in the world. Now I am being initiated into how to take care of something in the physical world, now that it is physically here. If that is a baby, for example, especially, with Venus here happening in your second house, if that's a baby, if that's a child, or maybe it's a baby-like idea or creation going on in your world right now, like an idea, a business venture, an invention, something that you've always wanted to bring into the physical world but didn't know how. The second house is going to really give you an opportunity to learn the ins and outs of management and upkeep and taking care of this baby like creation, idea, invention, how to take care of it, how to grow it. Something new is in your life, might be in your life right now that it's in its baby stages, and it needs your care, it needs your love, it needs your nurturing, it needs your protection. In other words, you might have to invest some time and energy into taking care of it and nurturing it and growing it. This is like when you get a new business going. And in the beginning of that business, you're putting a lot of time and money into it as it grows until it starts to make money on its own. It's one of those type of things. You know what I'm talking about? Like you got a business that you open, like say someone opens up a restaurant, and in the beginning of that period, you're the one that's investing a lot of time and money into it, so that you can keep the business, the restaurant open and afloat, until it's able to bring in its own income and its own revenue. You're the one that's kind of doing all the promotions and paying everything up ahead, or even like a if you are trying to be an artist, for example, and you're putting a whole bunch of money up front in order to create a CD, an album, let's say, and then you got to put all the money, you got to front the money for you to go to perform, to do all the performances, to go to the different venues and pay for the tickets. You got to front the money for all that stuff. This is that kind of thing going on here with all these aspects happening there in your second house. What do you need to front the money for, to take care of? What do you need to front? Not only your money, but also your time and your energy spent taking care of something that has promise to bring you physical security, that will ultimately bring you some sense of physical revenue, or, money or material security in your life. But you've got to be willing to put up the money ahead of time in order for that to happen. You know what I mean? I haven't bashed that into your heads enough, saying that, front the money ahead of time. Hopefully you get what I'm talking about with that. This is also a really great time to just kind of get in touch in general with things that bring you physical security in your life and physical enjoyment in your life. The sun in the second house, we're definitely looking at sensuality here. We're talking about physical pleasures going on. Yeah, we're getting there too, where it brings you a sense of physical pleasure, and really experience that, really experiencing, what feels physically arousing to you, pleasing to your senses, both in a sexual and, in a sensual way. What kind of art are you into? What kind of foods are you into? This is a really good time to go and enjoy some really good foods that really speaks to your taste buds, that are you love it because you love the smell of it, Venus is going to begin in your first house, starting out in your first house, but she's going to end up in your second house. So, in the first half of Cancer, she's going to be in your first house. So Venus in your first house is really looking at, your love for yourself, love for your identity, the love and beauty of yourself, your identity. Venus in your first house is going to make you especially attractive at this time to people, and people are going to be seeing you because your inner goddess is going to be coming out. Whether you're a man or whether you're a woman, does not matter. Your inner goddess will come out and people will be attracted to that. They'll be attracted. You'll be especially attractive, attractive when it comes to how you respond to things and how you react to things, Gemini, at this time. People will be like, ooh la la, going after you with Venus in the first house. But she eventually in the second half goes into your second house. And when she comes into your second house, that makes you especially sensual at this time. So really just getting yourself involved in your senses, involved in your senses, using your senses, things that it might be a really good time to go get rid of old items that are doing nothing but taking up dust. It might be a really good time to donate some things to maybe a Salvation Army or a Goodwill, or to a friend or to family members or to whoever, some old stuff that, perhaps doesn't have any more value to you. This is a really good time for you to take and clean house and do some spring cleaning. This is kind of your spring period. So this is that great time to kind of do some spring cleaning. And in doing spring cleaning, you can now open up some space to bring in some things that make you feel fresh, that are fresh and new and make you feel fresh and new. And some things that really speak to your senses today, in this reality, in this world today. New smells, new ideas, new foods, new things that speak to your taste buds again, new textures, like if you want to get a new blanket for yourself, or if you want to do some refurnishing of your furniture, your blanket, things that you sleep with, like new pillows, new sheets, new blankets, really getting kind of in touch with that sensual side of yourself, and allowing that to kind of be really expressed and to appreciate and give yourself permission to just kind of be like, yeah, like this is where I want to, this is me right here, give yourself permission to really go with what pleases you. Certain colors might really speak to you at this time because you're just very physically involved. Certain colors may speak to you at this time. You might want to get satin sheets, you might want to get silk, or you might want to get cotton or something, playing around with that. Things that give you an emotional and physical sense of security. I do say emotional too, because this is the season of Cancer, and all 5 of these celestial aspects, even the North Node behind it, you can't see it behind there, but all 5 of them happen to be in the sign of Cancer. So Cancer and Taurus work together really well. They're almost one and the same, except one works more emotionally while the other one works more in the materialism, but they really do work really well together. So give yourself permission to kind of, all the stuff that's going to be providing you with material security is also going to be providing you with emotional security at the same time too. It's really going to speak to something that is intuitively, emotionally, instinctually, something within yourself, something that maybe, this is what my grandma used to love. My grandma, maybe I go in to old recipes, from my grandparents, my grandma, or my mother, or my great grandma, and I find old recipes and I bring those out and I start cooking those cooking those recipes, and I'm like, wow, maybe this is a great time to like delve in and dive into checking out new, some old recipes and learning how to cook them yourself and being like, wow, I love this. I might add this to my regular dish. You know what I mean? Like, this is a really great time to really have some fun and experiment and really get in touch with your sensual, sexual side. Then you're going to also have the sun. The sun, throughout this season, is going to get in touch with all of the outer planets. Every single outer planet. I'm talking Jupiter. I'm talking Jupiter. I'm talking Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. And is also going to be in touch with Chiron too. Chiron, who happens to be in your 11th house right now, and it's kind of looking at like friendships, and it's kind of looking at especially friendships on a more soul level, and networking and humanitarianism, is also going to be connecting in with the sun's energies. So chances are, there might be some childhood memories that you have around friendships, but being able to understand like them on a soul level, understanding the soul connection between you, the greater lesson, the higher perspective of your friendships, of the people that you network with, that you work with, and of how you yourself serve others. But all of these aspects, this is going to be a very inward journey. Make it about you. This is a great time to make it about you. There's no time like the present to make this about you, and especially with what is going on with most of the outer planets and the collective planets being in retrograde. This is a really good time for you to get back in touch with yourself and your body. This is a really great time for you to just express yourself and your sexual sense and like get in touch with anything that makes you feel sexy. You know what I mean? Like, get in touch with whenever you look in the mirror, if you just want to bite yourself or kiss you, whatever makes you feel sexy, whatever makes you feel like $1,000,000, like, get in touch with that at this time for you, Gemini. That's what this is about. It's a very inward journey. So we're not necessarily going outward with any of this because we got all the retrograde going on. We're going inward. And the sun happens to be, making contact with all of these different planets, even though they're in different houses and different aspects of your life. But still, the sun here in your second house is making contact with all of these outer aspects. Get in touch with your sexual side. Let your sexual juices flow. Give yourself permission to look at you and be in love with yourself. Give yourself permission to look at you and know how beautiful you are, and know how amazing you are, know how sexy you are, know how good looking you are, to appreciate your body, appreciate what your ancestors gave you, appreciate your birthday suit, what God gave you, appreciate that. Your ancestors, the fact that they put all this work into creating this physical body and this skin and this face and these beautiful eyes and these lush lips and this hair and these legs, and give yourself permission to really look in the mirror and do some self-love talk for yourself. That might be part of the initiation here for you. You might be learning to love yourself. You might be learning to love yourself in your skin. You might be learning to love your own skin. You might be able to, look at that, whatever the case might be, whatever's going on skin-wise, skin issues, whatever the case might be, but it's your skin. And no matter what anybody says, you need to learn how to love yourself in your skin. This is a really great time for that, So, that pretty much sums up the medicine for this season for you. I hope that this has served you in some way, and I hope that you tune in next time where we venture into the Leo season and what's going on there. A Galanor.